Unfortunately, what you're about to hear is real. The members of this radio program are simply not that bright, or what some people would call educated. They are merely stupid. They're not trying to offend anyone on purpose. And all have played doctors on TV. You have been warned and are cordially invited to join the party. This is the men's room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
This is the men's room with Miles and Thrill. You know what they say, shake your radio more than 3 times, and you're playing with it. You're listening to the men's room.
Hey, away we go. Get ready for show number 2784. Along with Steve the Thrill Hill, the Chad Smith, Robin Fox, and my cock. And you are in the men's room. On tap today, the random question is back. Your guess is as good as mine. Categories, breakups, and food. A positive drinking story gets hammered and goes shopping. Get ready to play Profile This. Plus headlines, the men's room shot of the day, fun listener emails, and everyone's favorite, TV Time with Tim.
The clap, jiggity jump.
All right, here we go. Oregon daycare provider gets 21 years after drugging kids so she could go to CrossFit and then go tan. Meanwhile, a hospital who used a patient's amputated leg for a pillow, surely to come up with a different future plan. Zoo in England put 60 different mammals on birth control pill. College course to focus on calling out people whose BS they want to spill. And England says Russians poisoned a spy, or as we say, no collusion. That is all coming on today's very special episode of The Men's Room.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bitches. Good day to you and yours. All right, most of us know this. Attraction. It makes people very weird, makes us very stupid. If you're attracted to someone, you no longer listen to logic, but everything dumb or creepy about you, that certainly rises to the surface. Say, for example, the man in Georgia sauntered up to a woman at a bar, but look, long story short, in an effort to impress her, he did a backflip off of her table. But instead of actually doing a backflip off of the table, he crashed through the table, landed on her head, and sent her to the hospital with injury. But that's what attraction does. A 17-year-old girl, she went to see the Black Panther movie. Well, she has a thing for actor Michael B. Jordan. And during his shirtless scene in the movie, the girl reacted by biting through her retainer and had to make an emergency visit to the dentist. I think we understand what was happening there. And then there's Bill Cosby. I think we all have an idea of what he does if he's attracted to someone. He's back in the news, and he's back in the news for the same reasons, because he's creepy. He's creepy like a bag full of severed hands is creepy. And by the way, we have a story about that. Fishermen recently discovered a bag containing 27 pairs of severed human hands. These are some of the stories we saw, and it left us with many, 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 many questions. Questions we'd like to ask you in the form of the random question. Here's how it works. You call us, we ask you a question to complete random. After you share your story, we'll share with you the news story that inspired the question.
Be part of the big show on the random question. Call 844-999-OLA. You can like The Men's Room on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Men's Room Live. And send those emails to themensroom@mensroomlive.com. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
Welcome back to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Hello, Macholas, and away we go. Welcome to show number 2784 with a large and charge program we have for you today. Guaranteed future repeats. Your guess is as good as mine. The categories today will be breakups and food. If you've ever been in a relationship and maybe you have cohabitated, you realize that certain items go to certain places. You get certain things. The other half gets the other stuff. And we're going to go through a good old breakup here with your guess is as good as mine. And then we have some food around the world. And also coming up today, the return of a positive drinking story, as we have some very positive economic news as far as the world of alcohol is concerned and how it basically helps the economy, I guess is the best way to put it. So that's all.
How the sales of alcohol help the economy.
Even more so, yeah. So not only do you buy the liquor, the beer, whatever you're buying,
all
the taxes and all the money and all that goes, well, believe it or not, a lot of people like to get hammered and go shopping. So we have some information coming up for you about that with the return of a positive drinking story right before we drink and toast with a shot of the day. And today is the day we do our random question 844-999-OLA. Let's just get this thing going and see where it takes us.
Hello, Cheyenne. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
Cheyenne, hello.
Gentlemen.
Oh, boy.
You're in South Dakota, right?
Yes, sir.
What do you do on an off day, right? The weekend is here. You don't have to go to work. What's the thing to do in South Dakota?
Honestly, there isn't much, man, especially in the winter.
Did you say honestly? You say that like we are not going to believe that in the winter in South Dakota there might not be a ton to do.
No, honestly, there isn't much to do. You drink and that's about it. I don't even really do much of that. So.
Really? Do you ever go to Cheyenne, Wyoming? Is that close?
Yeah, it's close enough. I've been there.
Have you gotten your picture taken? The Welcome to Cheyenne sign, the typical things that a guy named Cheyenne should probably do in life?
No, you'd think I would, but I have not. No.
All right.
Did you ever get one of those mini license plates when you were a kid?
No, I did not.
Hell no. With Cheyenne, there's no way. That's not a popular
You didn't even
name.
get mine.
No,
right?
yeah, you can't.
I always got one of those.
Yeah.
I'm one of the few black people that has ever gotten a license plate from. Because listen, man, and look, black people, you know it. Let's not lie about it, right? But if your name is Shaquan, they just don't frickin' have it. Right?
Well, sometimes it's with a W, sometimes with a UA.
Doesn't matter. The name's not going to be there. They need
Sometimes it's KW, sometimes it's QU.
Like you need the black license plate section. Okay.
All right, Cheyenne, let's go with this one. How did you really mess up at work? What's the biggest mistake you've ever made for an employer?
Let's see. Probably, well, I actually used to be an intern at a certain radio station, and we accidentally caught someone peeing on the air because they pocket dialed us. And
but you played it over the air, I guess, and people freaked out?
Yeah, we thought about it, but it's like I hadn't meant to record the call, but a button was hit, and it did record. So yeah.
Okay.
How long was the pee? Was this like a 30-second? Were they talking? Did you hear the final push squirts at the end?
There was some conversation between a couple people, and then it was just one long, like if you've ever seen A League of Their Own with Tom Hanks and his kind of peeing scene, it was kind of like that.
I'm a frequent pocket dialer, and I do it in spurts. Like, I'll look down at my phone and go like, I just dialed 8 people within the last half hour and have no idea how that happened.
What was I doing? What did they do?
No, like I'm on the bus or something. Like, God almighty. Like, I mean, I'm sure people are just like, what? And I'm just like, whatever. The reason we asked, how did you mess up at work? This is a doozy. The board responsible for overseeing funeral directors in Nova Scotia, in Canada, has revoked the license of one man for his role in a mix-up at a funeral home that had a woman mistakenly cremated and another embalmed and presented to the wrong family. David Farmer of Serenity Funeral Home and Crematorium will no longer be allowed to work as a funeral director or an embalmer, according to the ruling that was released by the Nova Scotia Board of Regulators of that type of deal. The situation is unprecedented. It has never happened in Nova Scotia, and we certainly had to look at procedure and process. He said he hopes the two women's families find some peace and solace through the whole process, even though they've been completely erased of the opportunity to grieve their loved ones. Moving forward, we do not want to try to open the door a little bit so that the public feels a little bit more included in the process, and these mistakes are made again. According to Friday's decision, Farmer mistakenly cremated Bennett after the two bodies arrived at the facility in the same vehicle. Wilson, who was supposed to be cremated, was instead embalmed and presented as Bennett to the other woman's family. Before Bennett's open casket visitation was set to begin, family members said Bennett's widower, Gary, pointed out to the funeral home staff that the body of the woman in the casket was not, in fact, his wife. Wilson was eventually cremated, and funeral home staff told her family about the mix-up 4 days after it happened, shortly before her funeral service.
But
That is brutal.
It's brutal. It is absolutely brutal.
I mean, look,
but no, listen. I just feel like
you're dead.
Suspend the guy for a bit, sure, right? You got to send a message, but like, I don't know, man. I don't know much about the funeral world.
Look,
but
man, I think
it seems like a distinct possibility that makes up what happened. We've heard these stories, and I know individually to the family it's got to be god awful, but it's the idea that, like, look, two bodies come in, same van, same day. It seems to me, just in any line of work I've ever had, that's the easiest way to make a mistake, right? You kind of overlook.
I think it would make the situation.
I know it's bad, but it seems reasonable.
It would take away the heaviness of the situation. Like if you really were close to someone, you'd be like,
who's that?
Like instead of like looking down, like, oh my sweet, it'd be like, oh my God, who the hell is that?
Who is this person?
That's great.
Yeah, I'm just imagining going to see a family member, and then it's like, my bad, we burned.
Am I in
her.
the right place?
No.
And then the other lady's just sitting there.
I mean, it's harsh. There's no doubt it's harsh to the families. I'm just saying it seems, to me, in the mortuary world, that seems like a foreseeable mix-up, right? Hey, man.
Honest mistake.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that's a job where you double-check stuff.
I agree, man. I agree.
You know, if I don't load something in the system and the audio's not there, we can talk, kind of get through it.
We can get through it.
They burned this man's mom.
Yeah. When you put it like that, it sounds bad.
And then you come in there, play my last respects to my mom, and there's some other lady's mom. Like, I'm just telling you, I am going to lose it.
It sucks for the family. I know. I'm just saying, it seems reasonable to them. Might happen. Hello, Alex. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola. All right, Alex, let's see here. Alex, you a beer drinker?
Oh, yeah.
All right. What was your go-to early beer there when you were young and poor and wanting to drink a lot of quantity? What was your cheap beer that you grabbed?
Cheap beer? Kind of depends on where I was at. When I was stationed in Hawaii, they didn't really have much other than the really crappy stuff. So I think for the most part, I kind of just stuck with Coors Light. I don't think I ever did anything fancy or, not fancy.
Okay. All right.
But there was a time, like, I couldn't afford Coors Light. That was the upgrade. So we had Milwaukee's Best.
I was going to say,
true, Milwaukee has nothing to be proud of.
Have you ever? There's a guy at work, Sean, and he's a huge Coors Light fan. So when he can't get Coors Light, though, he buys Costco Kirkland light beer,
and it
which
tastes the same,
pretty close to Coors Light. I don't know if you've ever had that before, but I would guess that might be cheaper.
I have one of those beggars can't be choosers moments where I had to drink Keystone, I guess, for a night. But
all right, well, there's nothing wrong with Keystone.
Sure, there is. Just the taste.
I used to drink a lot of Natural Light back in the day, which people considered a cheap beer, and I thought it was great.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That in Milwaukee's Best.
It's still cheap. I mean, good or bad, it's still cheap. Milwaukee's Best, though, is not good.
You're just, well...
It's not good.
It's like drinking water.
Yeah, you're right. It depends on where you are. There was a time that every beer that started with an S in the area of the Northeast or
gave
East
you the
Coast,
S's?
Yeah, it made you S yourself, and it started with an S. It was like Schmitz and Schlitz and Stoney's, and I
always say Schlitz added an extra L.
Oh, yeah.
They should have just dropped the L and said, this is the name of the beer, because tomorrow, same thing with Schmitz. We didn't forget about you.
It's going to hurt, but you're going to do it. The reason we asked, what beer did you dislike the most, or what beer did you kind of just start out drinking? A South Carolina truck driver caused quite the scene on I-10 in Okaloosa County, Florida. He spilled 60,000 pounds of beer onto the highway. According to the Florida Highway Patrol, Michael Powell, 44, of South Carolina in Simpsonville, was driving a tractor-trailer when he failed to maintain his lane at 2:40 in the morning. As a result, the tractor-trailer traveled onto the north shoulder of the road and overturned and flipped, causing 60,000 pounds of Busch beer to be thrown from the trailer.
That was Busch.
It was Busch, but where's
right.
60,000 pounds of Busch beer going? It's got to be. I know it's in Florida, but that is a lot of Busch beer.
You just said it, Florida.
I want to say, too, that Washington State University for a period was like per capita sold more Busch than like any small town.
Really?
Well, because Pullman, Washington's a small town.
Full of college kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Once it becomes cliquey, it's going to become cliquey. Like for a while, it was Pabst Blue Ribbon in a popular cliquey way. The one that I've noticed now that's making its way into the scene is Hamm's. Is that Chicago or Wisconsin?
No, Chicago's old style. It's like they're...
Okay. I don't know where Hamm's is from. Maybe it's from Minnesota.
I thought Hamm's was Canadian.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I've been seeing it all over the place.
So is the price going up now for this otherwise cheap-ass beer.
You know what? I just think I think the Hams people are probably just happy that someone's buying it.
Oh, I'm sure. They're delighted.
Right, exactly.
But they got to
Holy
stop
cow.
doing that. Like, don't drive up the cost of Pabst. Don't drive up the cost of tater tots. Like, these things have been around. Stop getting so excited because you make these cheap-ass things more expensive. Right. They're tater tots and Pabst Blue Ribbon, for God's sake.
Random.
Hello, John. Welcome to the men's room.
What's up, bitches?
Hola.
All right, John.
He is no way.
All right, John. All right, let's see here. John, let's go with this one. What do you wish that you had not found or maybe seen at all? Or found out about, maybe?
Yeah, when I was younger, I was going through the cupboards to get a little cup out of something, something to drink, and my mom had this coffee cup that she kept well hidden. I was short enough where I really couldn't see, and finally got tall enough, and the handle was a big old penis.
Your mom had a coffee cup with a penis handle on it, huh?
Yeah, and me being me, she had friends over, and so I pulled out. I was like, "Mom, how come you keep this hidden?"
and you
yeah, she was pretty embarrassed. She's like, "Why don't we go play outside?"
That is a great coffee mug.
Yeah, parents surprised.
That's a keeper. My grandfather had a koozie that was just boobs, and as a kid, I thought that was the greatest thing I'd ever seen in my life. It was a plastic koozie, like before the kind that was more of a jacket.
Yeah.
So it kind of slid into this plastic container, but it was just a woman standing there with boobs, and I thought it was awesome.
My parents, when I was like 15, I don't remember where they gone the night before, but my mother was like, "Hey, your father took me out. We had fun, whatever." So on their bed was a stuffed cat, like a little stuffed animal, stuffed cat kind of thing, which seemed odd, right? Because that's very much not them. But I picked this thing up, and when you pick it up, it has a huge twig and berries.
Unbelievable.
And it was just a weird thing. I'm like looking at my parents like,
Okay.
Okay.
We just had the barrel guy.
Oh, barrel penis guy?
No,
yeah,
you pull up the barrel and his penis pop. Yeah.
What do you wish you hadn't found or found out about? A bag containing 54 severed human hands washed up in Russia. Good times, far east of Siberia on the border close to China there. It was spotted first by a local who basically saw it kind of in a snow-covered bank on the bank of a river. They opened up the bag, and there were a bunch of dead body parts, but mostly hands, 54 severed human hands. So the locals kind of freaked out there at the popular fishing spot. Yes, they did. But they do say that nothing was suspicious in the area. They don't know where they call them sinister hands.
A bag of 54 hands washed up, but there's nothing suspicious.
They don't know where they're from. They don't know.
A bag of human hands shows up.
Yes, severed from dead bodies. Maybe they think they might be from a hospital. They don't know if they were used for education purposes at a medical teaching facility.
This is Russia, so I suspect education purposes is, do you see what he said? Chop off his hands.
Random.
You know what I'm saying?
You will learn that.
It's more believable if somebody's just chopping hands.
Right, because it's Russia. Anywhere else, I'd be like, oh, that's kind of weird. Russia. I don't know. Oh, by the way, as far as funeral mix-ups go.
Yep.
Let's see. Funeral mix-ups seem like, from the comments, seem like something human error could cause from time to time, but people have been dying for a very long time, so you think they would have figured out some sort of way to prevent this by now. Strong point. Someone else says, tell Thrill it's not a normal mistake in the funeral business. That from the T-Town Gravedigger. I'll take his word for it. Yep. Hello, Chris. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
How you doing, Chris?
Doing all right. Laughing about that beer truck.
Yeah,
we talked about.
That's a lot of bush.
I'm just glad it's
I just
a lot of bush.
Look, I figured somewhere.
That's the brothel I went to one time in Nevada.
All right, look, whoever's running that truck, Budweiser, InBev, whoever the hell they are, I expect that they have a lot of different types of beer. Mm-hmm. They're going to Florida. They're going to have Budweiser. They're going to have Bud Light. They're going to have all the Bud
products.
What
does Florida do?
Their Bush on there and all that stuff. So I just can't believe it's completely stuffed with just Bush beer.
That is a little...
You know what I mean? Like maybe a couple other varieties of something. I mean, hell, anything. Even if it was like a pallet of Pepsi was in there with it. Something, anything. But it's the whole damn thing is full of Bush.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing to me. I'm just saying.
Where was it going?
I was going to someplace in Florida. But do you order that for spring break? Is that how that happens? You know what, man, we got a ton of kids coming down here.
Right?
We need 18-wheelers full of Bush beer. Let's see here. What do we got here? Okay, let's go with this one. Who would you say is your celebrity crush? Who was or has been?
Sterling.
Who?
Lindsey Sterling.
Lindsey, who? You said that awful quick.
Lindsey Sterling.
And who is Lindsey Sterling?
She is a dubstep violinist who actually has done some covers of, is actually doing a tour with Evanescence this summer.
I see.
And she's done songs with Lindsay Hale from Hailstorm and a few other.
All right, I follow what you're saying there. All right, I get it. Not bad looking at all. Okay, very good.
Man, that did not take you any
No, it didn't,
time.
man. Boom!
Quick. So who was your
I got
crush?
a VIP ticket to her concert in September, so yeah.
Who was your crush before her? You know, like you have a crush, and then there's someone, and you just knock the other one off the pedestal.
Yeah, tie between Megan Fox and Scarlett Johansson.
Okay. No.
The reason we asked, who was your celebrity crush there? A 17-year-old girl broke her retainer because she got excited during the shirtless scene in Black Panther. That would be the one where Michael B. Jordan takes his shirt off. When MBJ took his shirt off, she clenched her teeth so effing hard she snapped it in half.
God damn,
That is the
girl.
effing funniest S ever in my tiny 17-year-old life.
And then she slipped off her seat.
The orthodontist actually posted about it too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. She actually, what a great natural reaction, though.
And how good is Michael B. Jordan
Right,
feel?
exactly.
Like, damn.
I mean, that's
She bit through the wire of her retainer.
all because he took his shirt off. Impressive. Random question, 844-999. Ola, more your calls coming up. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
Well, Tricky Toast coming up. Shot Day's on the way, and your guess is as good as mine. The categories will be breakups and food. Your guess is as good as mine. Right for emails from the Men's Room at mensroomlive.com. In the meantime, it is our random question, 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Dustin. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola.
Hello, Dustin.
What's going on?
How are you, man?
I'm good.
Good. All right. Okay. Dustin, you traveled a little bit in your lifetime?
A little bit. Not like overseas, like out of country or anything, though.
Okay. You lived in a few different towns or stayed in a few different places?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to ask you this one. Based on where you have lived, even if you just spent a little bit of time there, what was it or is it the capital of? In other words, if you spend some time in Kansas City, you're going to be hard-pressed to find Kansas City barbecue anywhere else. That's going to be what you look for. That's what you
If that's
possibly
what you take it.
If that's what you like it. But it could feasibly be the capital of barbecue.
Look, I lived in Baltimore. You could say it's the capital of crab cakes. I would not argue. It's also the capital of murder.
It is.
So it's like, look,
Lake trout.
Right,
It is.
Lake trout. Lake trout doesn't actually exist. It's not a real thing. And the first thing they tell you is,
You're right.
Yeah, my man, it ain't trout.
You could go.
It ain't from a lake.
You could go
Right.
if you Chicago. You could go deep dish pizza. If you like hot dogs, you'd say hot dogs. But based on where you've lived, what was it? In other words, if you really wanted something, or you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
if you're really craving something, where would that be?
Well, if shrimp po' boy.
New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I don't think
that's a good call.
There's not a better shrimp po' boy in the world than the one in New Orleans.
There's not a better po' boy. The
Anywhere.
muffalata, the po' boy, there's a couple sandwiches that they have that I do not see anywhere else. And then when you do see it somewhere else, it's this pale, horrid imitation.
Well, and they started it, right? So, like Chicago, when you bring up hot dogs, you could make an argument another city has great hot dogs. But if you're talking Vienna beef, then it could basically
Right.
only be Chicago.
Yep, Italian-style pit beef, without question. And I love the fact that when you get a po' boy in New Orleans, they cut the bread long ways.
They cut it long ways, and they stuff it. See, that's one thing. When they give you a po' boy, it's full of food. Everywhere else you go, it seems outside of that city and get a po' boy, it's just some French bread with like 3 shrimp thrown on there.
Right. Well, that's because it's not po' anymore. You know,
Right.
back in the day, that was a cheap sandwich
Right.
that you could eat, and the reason they called it a po' boy was because it was economical and you would get a lot of food. Now it's the most expensive thing that you can get in the sandwich, a part of the menu.
If you go anywhere other than New Orleans.
The reason we asked based on where you've lived, what is the capital of blank? Barcelona has been revealed as Europe's capital of, any guesses?
I read this earlier, so I know, and it
Party
does not surprise
destination?
me.
Pretty much. Cocaine. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
All right.
The capital came out on top, where cocaine is most used in a study of 56 European cities and 19 countries. They went through a sewage analysis among many other different things. The study analyzed daily wastewater samples in areas of treatment plants for a 1-week period, and they did that for 43 million people. They were looking for everything: amphetamines, cocaine, ecstasy, methamphetamine, being crystal meth. Results were released by a European Monitoring Center for Drugs and Drug Addiction that shows that the most cocaine usage is by far in Barcelona on a daily basis, although it is beaten by Zurich on the weekends.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Switzerland?
Yeah.
A place with all the rich white people?
It's crazy. Yeah.
That'd be like finding cocaine in Aspen.
Right.
So, but while Barcelona, cocaine is the drug of choice, the city also appeared at number 7 on the list for MDMA.
Yeah.
It was the only Spanish city to rank in the top 10 for any of the drugs tested. Switzerland had 5 cities that ranked in the top 10 for cocaine use, which is impressive. A study found the levels of cocaine and ecstasy in wastewater rise sharply on the weekends in most cities.
Sure.
Who would have thought that, huh? Crazy. While amphetamine use appears to be more evenly distributed all week long. So let's repeat that. If you're going to do some ecstasy, you probably will do it on a Friday or Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're into the meth, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Every Thursday, we'll deliver a free dose of news and views from, so they're going to keep testing this every weekend on the weekend.
All right, just in your opinion, all right, if I say the cocaine capital of the United States, where would you go? I already know where I'm going.
New York City.
Vegas.
South Beach.
All right.
Wow,
South
we all had a
Beach-
different answer there.
South Beach is kind of the cap, and I see why you said Vegas.
When people sneeze
But I
in
think-
South Beach, you get high.
I agree, but I think in New York City with all those bankers and stuff, I think it is just
All right, but okay.
so prolific.
All right, I hear what you're saying, but I would argue this. All right, in their world, there's no doubt. Like Wall Street is nothing but dripping noses, right?
It
and we
is,
know
right.
and
It is a ton of it.
It's the worst hidden secret ever, right? So South Beach, in my experience there, if I were to have gotten involved, it seems to everybody from all walks of life. Like if you were present, like you could be visiting, you might be from there, but not Miami in general, but South Beach, like everybody. Trust me, the bankers are doing their thing
right.
too. That's all. Like in New York City, it's like limited to those with money. In South Beach, it's like you're in South Beach, want some cocaine?
South Beach is the only place I've been where cocaine was as nonchalant as like marijuana.
All right, where's your capital for meth? United States. I'm going Middle America. I'm going either Ohio or West Virginia.
No meth in West Virginia.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
They do
That's right, you're
they do
Oxys.
Oxycontin. Yeah.
And I would have to pick Portland or Seattle in the Northwest.
For meth?
Yeah.
Right.
Northwest kind of owned that for a while.
You know, we should
unfortunately.
do a travel site for drug addicts.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, like, look, man,
what are you looking for? I mean, you want just really good black tar or heroin? We recommend, go to Baltimore, man. There's a great place in Hamden.
It's harder to get weed in
Yeah.
South Beach than cocaine.
Yeah, pretty well. Yeah. Random question, 844-999-OLA. More of your calls coming up in seconds here.
Hola! The shenanigans continue on the Men's Room Radio Network.